roadmap. Sadly, this is the very same problem former CSIRO scientists warned of almost 30 years ago.
Even at that time, we knew that global oil production was expected to peak around the year 2000.
Then CSIRO scientist Dr. Chris Marden won strong state funding to develop decentralised ethanol and other fuel production from the likes of sugar plants and even more promising wood chips, before his project was axed by the CSIRO itself.
Each division in CSIRO has an advisory committee made up of representatives from business, and there were at least 2 representatives on that committee that I know of who represented interests who are hostile to biofuels.
What kind of interests? The oil companies?
Well, one was an oil company, the other was a sugar company.
Now the situation is getting critical. This chart shows how in recent years the Australian oil industry's trade deficit has risen into the red by up to $12 billion as our oil supplies dwindle, dragging Australia's balance of payments with it, much to the federal government's chagrin.
One of the few resources that we are short of is in fact oil, but both through supporting biofuels and supporting LPG, as well as a significant expenditure by this government on exploration, both onshore and offshore, and getting some of the pre-competitive geodata for that. We are trying to address that deficit in our trade position.
If we don't start developing alternative fuels and vehicles that can use alternative fuels, then we're going to have a lot of difficulty with our private transport systems.
Brazil has developed their own flexi car, and that flexi car can either use petrol or 100% ethanol.
Indeed, such a vehicle is now manufactured in Australia for export by Holden, but is not available for sale here.
And the president of Brazil drives a Holden Calais and uses 30% ethanol in it.
Don't hold your breath for such a statement by the Australian government, regardless of the concern of public health experts.
Why then has our national authorities not put a duty of care first rather than the corporate greed?
Greg Hoy with that report, and on another aspect of the environment, more heat on the controversial debate over Tasmania's proposed new pulp mill. Jeff Cousins, former Prime